Good morning. I know y'all better say hey to me. Y'all better say hi to me. Because that's the only way and the only reason I'm on here this morning. I really just wanted to say hi. You know, start the day offering like serious good vibes to you. So I just wanted to say good morning. I hope everybody has a beautiful day. I've been up early starting work. I have work to do. I'm pretty sure you're up early with work to do. But I wanted to just offer you many blessings throughout your day. No matter how your day started, I hope that it goes amazing. So enjoy yourselves. Do something you wouldn't usually do today. Go outside of your comfort zone today. Know that you can achieve whatever you want today, no matter what you want to do. I mean, it's cliche. People have been telling us this since we were kids. You can do whatever you put your mind to. So today, you know, think outside the box. Think outside your comfort zone. Know that you're completely able and capable of doing any and all things that you think about achieving. Come into this new day with new thoughts, new mindsets, new fresh attitudes. Don't carry on today with things that happened yesterday or anything like that. Today is a new day. You start a new day. Today, you're starting fresh. So, peace, love, light. Somebody tell me something interesting. I want to read something interesting. I'm going to wait until my comments say something interesting. Good morning to everyone that's saying good morning to me. How do you deal with a negative family life? I guess it depends on what you consider a negative family life. I personally tend to remove myself completely from negativity. Even if it is family. I guess that's a little bit harder to do if you're living in the same space as each other. So if you are living in the same space with negative or toxic family, try to put, your personal barriers and spiritual walls up. You're going to have to set your guidelines and your limits. And you also have to understand that most of the problem and the emotion that we feel when we have any sort of negative interaction within any sort of relationship has a lot to do with what we expect. And we know that we deserve better treatment a lot of times, but we also have to face the reality that not everybody is where we're at with that. So not allowing actions and things said around us to affect us or to influence how we view ourselves, especially not to influence the way we see ourselves negatively. So I really hope that gets better. But again, set your boundaries, physical boundaries and spiritual boundaries about how much you interact with people. I live in my own little bubble. I stay in this bubble. The bubble is in my head and in my heart. So let's see. I am going to go back through some more things. Congratulations, 7, to your new house. That's awesome. Self-driving cars are dangerous. Technology is the devil. Okay, let's see. Who else is what country am I in? The United States Corporation of America. Let's see. How do you find love or soulmate in a world filled with so much hate and distress? Why do good guys finish last all the time? Aw, I'm sorry you feel that way. I've definitely been screwed over several times. But then I stopped victimizing myself for being taken advantage of, and I started accepting the responsibility of being taken advantage of, because we realize that in relationships, a lot of it is allowance. So it is kind of hard to find love or a soulmate, but I think that's probably the key word. Problem is find. I don't think we're supposed to be searching for anything. I don't think we're supposed to be trying to find anything. The more that we internally get to know ourselves, because you have to realize that life is constantly giving you your attractions, your thought process. You are what you attract. So in a sense, if you're still having problems with finding love relationships, sometimes it's just a sign that we need to look deeper inside and think that maybe at this point in time we would not attract the best version of ourselves. And a lot of it is patience, and a lot of it is internal reflection, to figure that out, because it's definitely no point of trying to find anything, and when you find it, you realize that, it was forced. You want things to happen naturally. Some people wait a long time to find, soulmate type relationships. And again, I want to clarify, it's not the same as like twin flame or like, like soul spirit like relationships, because sometimes, again, even with twin flame like relationships, twin flames, it doesn't mean you're necessarily supposed to be with each other. A lot of twin flames are literally just reflections of ourselves. It's the way the universe shows us a mirror image of ourselves, and intensifies the things in which we need to work on, so that we see what we need to work on. So think about the things that you could possibly work on and improve with yourself, and spend more time doing that, and I'm pretty sure that things will align when they need to align. Okay, let's see. How'd you say? Wow, that's a very specific question. I'm going to read it though. Okay, how would you say is the best way to remove someone from your life that lives with the mindset that after they burn down a forest, they think, oh, well, it'll grow back in time. This person has been on my mind a lot, and I would like to remove this person. You physically remove the person? I don't know the specifics of that particular situation. However, I would say that the best way to remove anybody from your life is by directly removing that person from your life. Sometimes I guess it's a little bit awkward and difficult because most people like to avoid confrontation and they don't want to have those very necessary conversations. I'd say that you should probably express whatever you need to express, because that's going to always bother you, especially if you haven't, if you just, cut the person off. So I just open up the conversation and, just express yourself, say what's on your mind, and then find a diplomatic way to basically just sever the ties. We don't have compatible views on life, and I think it's healthier that we both seek happiness outside of whatever this is, even if it's just a normal friendship or an acquaintance. Like, I have no hard feelings for you, but I know that our opposing views on things really bothers me. I want you to know that I feel this way, and then you go about your life and severing the ties, and hopefully you don't dwell on it. Let's see. I've bevisited a lot of people in the dream realm. It's weird. I don't know how I do it, but I've been doing it a lot. Just go visit people. Am I gonna let my hair lock? It's already locked in a lot of places, which is cool. Little baby locks. Freeform is awesome. How do I eat healthier? You just do it. You just do it. You just eat healthier. I'm not laughing at you. Trust me, I'm not. I hear this question a lot. It's, you make the conscious effort to cut out things that we know aren't good for us. Processed sugars, processed foods aren't good for us. Fried things aren't good for us. Sodas, artificial flavors, artificial colors, additives, preservatives aren't good for us. Drink more water, drink more natural teas and herbal remedies. I mean, really the concept of eating healthier is just completely that. We know it's not good for us. Avoid the things that aren't good for us. I think the hardest part is the mental separation from the things that aren't good for us. And sometimes that takes baby steps, moving into a change of eating, instead of just allowing it to like force into your life, but maybe gradually trying to cut things out over time. Let's see. I'm reading some more things. Bear with me. How do you get your children to be more spiritual, religious? Not religious, but spiritual. Children follow the lead. Children, you lead by example. It's I know people that really involve their children in things, and I think it's sweet. You know, they go crystal shopping together, they meditate together. I don't know how old the child is that you're speaking of. I definitely feel that they're probably less than, maybe 9 years old or around 9 years. I don't know, but like, um, just do, just continue to do, and just continue to lead, and children will follow. They'll do the things that they see you do. A lot of mothers I see meditate in front of their children, and they don't force their children to meditate, but eventually their children start mimicking what they see them do. Now at that point they're not actually meditating, they're mimicking, but you've planted a seed, and then that opens up the doors for you to be able to explain certain things. So lead. That's probably the best answer. Just lead and expose them to as many things as you can possibly expose them to, and let them, choose the path that they feel more and most closely, what most closely fits what they feel like. I was like reading multiple questions at the same time, and I was getting like really distracted and confused. Okay. Oh, that's really long too. Okay. I don't return something I think should be about me. Okay. Wow, there's so many things that you guys are saying. Darn. Have to start from the top. How do you leave someone who has an emotional hold on you? I'm really bad at answering these questions, because I've been in these situations and my answers are usually very straight to the point, and I say you just leave. You just go. And, that's pretty simple. You probably do need to do some serious, intentional, directed thoughts at imagining you and this other person that you feel. And these two questions are very similar, so I'm going to answer them at the same time. How do you leave someone who has a hold on you? And then how do you go through cutting soul ties? So I'm just going to say this, like some people go through like rituals and things like that. And there's there are definitely rituals and things like that for things like that. But in any practice, you realize that you don't necessarily need those tools to do the things. Everything is happening in here. You are your own power hub, your own power station. So I would say spend some time, lots of times, maybe like 30-minute meditations, 20-minute meditations, 15 to 30-minute meditations every day. And within these meditations, basically you're imagining yourself and the person that you feel that you are connected to or attached to. And you physically imagine whatever it is that you need to imagine that if you were attached to this person, you see a saw cutting through you two joined as individuals. And these are things that you meditate on. You basically meditate with the idea and the picture of you and the other individual in your head. And you guys are attached, and you think about the ways in which you would physically remove yourselves, whether you're ripping the two bodies apart, whether you're imagining, like I said, sawing or physically severing. And each day that you meditate on that for 15 to 30 minutes, you then think about the distance in which is increasing between you two as people, until that process goes on day in, day out. You're actually sending very direct and intentional energy to the universe that says what exactly your purpose for those thoughts are. Tell me how that goes. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. What am I reading? I don't know. What time is it? I don't know what time it is, but it's probably like, I don't know, 8 o'clock or something like that. Ah, man. My son first saw his first spirit at 3 years old. Is this normal? Yes, children pop out the womb seeing spirits. They just came from the spirit realm. They are the closest thing to it. You won't even know that your children are saying things. But what I will say about that is nurture that ability. Children are desensitized over time because us adults believe in paranoia, superstitions. Sadly, some religious doctrine keeps children's gifts from developing because of the beliefs of what's wrong or right when it comes to certain religious or spiritual practices. So if your child is seeing spirits at 3 years old, it's always best to open up the lines of communication so that they feel comfortable disclosing to you over time what exactly it is that they see, what exactly it is that they're looking at. You know, it's always best to teach authority and not fear when it comes to spiritual matters. You are never to be afraid of any spiritual interaction or occurrence. There is nothing to be afraid of. There are some spirits that have deeper or darker intentions. Again, still nothing to particularly be afraid of, but you do need to take the authoritative role because, again, at the end of the day, spirits respond to authority. So if they realize that there is no fear present and that you are serious in your standpoint of what and how you wish to direct them or how or wish you ask them to move is if they move, or, you know, it's just good to basically talk to your children about these things, even when they're young. What are you looking at? What do you see? What is he like? Is it a he? Is it a she? What does he look like? And, you know, at certain ages, they're not going to have all the words and the vocabulary to tell you specifically what these spiritual interactions are. But just keep assuring them that they have nothing to be afraid of and that they should, even at 3 years old, teach them what authority means and not fear, and standing your ground and standing where you're at, because these are gifts and they evolve and they develop over time and they're so useful. And it's a shame to think that a lot of us deprogram our children, and not even on purpose, but because life and what we've been taught is right or wrong, and how we respond to things. You know, we always tell children that imaginary friends aren't real and all this other bullshit, but a lot of times imaginary friends aren't even imaginary friends. They're actually seeing and interacting with real beings. They're able to see them because they are not desensitized and they're still close to that realm. You can't see them because you're desensitized and far removed from that realm, and probably a lot of the chemical imbalances in your diet and lifestyles kind of hinder you from interacting in that way with certain beings. But teach and raise your kids to be not afraid of spiritual things, but just to talk about them openly, and, you know, it would be great. Oh, I have more stuff to read. Oh, wow, that sounds interesting. What is this? I'm going to read this out loud. Okay, I am thinking about going to a dark place to get rid of my sister, baby's father. They are not together, but okay, gosh, the comment just went away. Jeez. Basically, I read it though. I think I know what it says, because this person is threatening harm. Okay, there we go. It's threatening harm to the entire okay. And basically, what is the backlash for going to that dark place? Saha. I hope I'm not pronouncing your name wrong. I wish I could hear it. But lovely soul. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story. That's all I'm going to do, and that story is going to answer your question, and I'm not going to say anything else about it. So I had a client come to me, and she was expressing to me her severe concerns because she was in an abusive relationship, and this person had gotten so abusive that they began threatening her life, stalking her, you know, really scary, deep, weird stuff, okay? So this woman meditated and thought so much and literally prayed for that person to die. At this point, she was praying for this person to die, not even just be removed from her life. She was praying for this person to die because she felt so intimidated by the abuse and the threats and the stalking. So she was at this point fervently, with that intention and that emotion and that energy, praying for this person to die. He died in a car accident. That was my story. You take from it what you want to take from it, but that's my answer in a nutshell. Okay, more questions and things to read. I've been having apocalyptic dreams lately, and I wake up terrified. Is there anything I should do? I've been having apocalyptic dreams and visions since I was a wee little girl. I mean, real young, that I've been having these visions. accept it, know it, see it. I wouldn't call anything apocalyptic. I would call things majorly life-changing. I'd call them, maybe beyond our wildest dreams, but I wouldn't necessarily call them apocalyptic. I think that it's a blessing to be able to be prepared mentally and spiritually for what may or may not come. So thanks, Spirit, for giving you the wherewithal to show you these things, and figure out what it means to your spirit and what it means to your life. At the end of the day, I know that life and death are synonymous, and when we hold a place of knowing that this body is temporary but our soul is not temporary, you don't worry about things to come because they're irrelevant. So whether we are here, whether we are not here, whether we are in turmoil or in pain. Again, pain is central to a human body. It is not central to the soul. Physical pain is not central to the soul. You can really remove those two concepts if you wish to not feel pain, if you're worried about feeling pain. This is why monks spend so much time in isolation and in practice, because you get to the point where you can manipulate your feelings. You can also manipulate your body's physical feelings. So again, one, thanks, Spirit, for showing you these things. Two, and remove the fear about it, because there should be no fear towards anything that may or may not happen on this plane, on this planet, on this earth, because again, it's a temporary situation, it's a temporary existence, and time is linear. Things are happening in the past just as they're happening in the future, so it's irrelevant. Okay, what's happening left? How do I deprogram myself from man-made religions and worldly things? Just spend more time with yourself and do active questioning. So, let's say you feel or have a response to something that you see. You question your response. Sometimes it's best to do this out loud. So if you need to process things, sometimes it's good to talk to yourself out loud. So deprogramming is basically just questioning and unlearning everything that you've already learned. So let's say you start to feel like, oh, I shouldn't do this because I've been taught this. Now you say that out loud and you ask yourself, what does it sound like? And then you say, why is it that I feel this way? What is it that I've been taught? Are there other forms of thought that I could look into that counteract how I feel at this moment? It's going to be a lot of counteracting what you feel, what you think, processing your emotions, comparing and opening yourself up to new things. I would say that if you're in that process right now, reading and research would probably be, a good start. Sit with yourself first, and then Spirit will let you know what you feel guided to know and what you feel guided to learn. And just start knowing and learning more things. And after a while, you start to think differently anyway, because that knowledge of all these different ways of viewing the same thing, you'll be able to open yourself up to what you want to accept, what you want to accept as your perspective and your own personal truth. And it takes some time, and it's going to, and that's cool, because we have a lot of time for the evolution of the soul. Human souls have been evolving for hundreds of thousands of years. So let's see. Do I own a gun? I'm not answering that question. Can spirit hurt you? Depending on the level of energy that you are vibrating under, which is, again, earlier I touched on authority. You have to be very authoritative when it comes to spirits, because if you allow them to lower your vibration and lower your frequency to a frequency in which they can interact with you, then sometimes, depending on the spirit that you're talking about, it can cause harm to you, whether that be physical harm sometimes or, spiritual harm. Some spirits are very strong. They can be violent. They can physically move things. They can physically throw you or things of that nature. But we have to realize that if this interaction even gets to that point, there was at some place you gave up that authority. You fed it something. You have to feed those spirits some sort of negative or lower vibratory energy, fear or distress or sadness or anger. Something is going into that emotion or that process that that spirit at that point is feeding off of your negative emotions, in which you're fueling it, and then in which that point it can possibly interact with you because now you're operating at a same frequency. But if you're operating at a higher frequency than a lot of spiritual beings, the way that they interact with you is being decided upon by your energy level at the time. So if you're in a great mood, more than likely you won't even be having spiritual interactions, unless you've invited spirit into your space. Now that's a difference, because I can be having a great mood, but let's say I invite spirits into my space, which I actually love having spirits in my space. So you can be in a great mood and have things happen around you, but know that they're not maliciously intended upon. It's just always keeping, everything starts with self. Everything starts and ends with self. Whether we realize it or not, we do have more control over life and life's interactions with us than we do think. It starts in the mind and our intention and the energy that we are putting out. So, let's see. So much to read. There is no such thing as praying correctly or incorrectly. Prayer is petitioning and asking, or sometimes demanding, that the universe give you, or you request certain things. The best way to talk to the universe is in like positive definites, as if they've already happened. So, let's say you want better health. Possibly you say, thank you, universe, thank you, creator, thank you, ancestors, thank you, spirit guides, whatever you feel you're connected to, whatever you feel your source is or your connection is, because everybody has a different source and connection. It's not all the same one. So whatever you feel the need that you're petitioning to, thank you, spirit, thank you, whatever. Thank you in advance for my impeccable health. Thank you in advance. Thank you for bestowing upon me all of this wealth. Thank you so much for providing for the world and my family. Thank you in advance for coming through with this job for me. So say things as if they've already happened, and you think as if it's already happened, because the universe loves to respond to gratitude. So if you're gracious for the things that you know are going to happen for you, and you say them as positive definite, like they're happening now, they will begin to happen in that way. That's kind of how I pray. But sometimes a prayer is also for me talking out loud with source or ancestors or spirit, or it's just a conversation as I would have with a person that was sitting across from me. It's me opening my heart. It's me saying how I feel. It's me processing my emotions. It's me giving that up. It's me letting that go. It's a release. So there is no proper way to pray. It's however you feel spirit or ancestors or source or creative energy is leading you to have that conversation. Okay. Wow. Sorry. Just reading. I wish I could read more interestingly, but I cannot. They are big snakes. They're just tiny ones slithering away from me. I'm not scared of them when this happens, but I'm curious if this happens many times a day. Okay, that's weird. You keep seeing snakes in your dreams, and not just dreaming, but I would see from the corner of my eye almost daily a snake that really isn't there. They aren't even big snakes, just tiny little ones slithering away from me. I would just focus on the feeling you get when that happens. I have very mixed interpretations about symbolism when it comes to snakes. Western beliefs are usually very superstitious, and the snake is a being that gets a lot of slack for no reason, especially because of that whole Adam and Eve bullshit. So in a Western sense, sometimes snakes mean like sneaky or deceitful or whatever the case may be. But I guess here the important thing is that they're small and they're going away from you. So, based upon the context, I guess, or what it feels like, more than likely, is if you have any sort of adversity, I guess I would definitely say Spirit is telling you that you have nothing to worry about. And it seems as though it's also symbolic of being able to see things that could possibly cause you harm, and that these things are smaller than they appear to be. So if there's anything in your life going on right now that you thought was problematic, or you gave a lot of energy to, or you thought it was larger than maybe it was, then it's probably a sign to let you know that you're seeing it. You see it, you're more aware of it than you think you are, and it's also not as big as you think it is. And these things, in retrospect, you have nothing to worry about, because again, you are the power and the force, and they're going away from you. So you should also probably within the next maybe a month or so, just expect that things also be removed from your life, things sliding away from you, small or large. Oh, does it mean anything that I hear a doorbell that wakes me up out of my sleep every morning? Nobody is there ringing the doorbell. Unless something likes to play with your doorbell. What do you do when you wake up? I think that would be very interesting to know. I know that when something wakes me up, my first inclination is that I'm supposed to have a connection, and that I'm supposed to be doing something differently. A lot of times, spirit or universe or guides try to get our attention, and how they try to get our attention can be greatly different. So if it happens every morning, and if it's happening around the same time every morning, a doorbell waking you up, I would start to reevaluate your mornings. I would reevaluate how you start your day. I would start taking the morning, and as soon as you wake up or hear a doorbell, to offer reverence, gratitude, to meditate, to set a designated time, that designated time to connect to your day, set your intentions for that day, to be grateful, to have a spiritual interaction, and to kind of move on from that. But to really, I would really start thinking about how you spend your mornings, because something seems to be trying to get your attention. And if it's waking you up in the morning, then it's definitely an alert, hey, So maybe think about how you're spending your mornings. Maybe it's asking you to do something different. Maybe it's asking you to do something in general. But the only way that you'll figure that out is if you spend more time in that space and time when you're waking up in meditation, and, wait for some signs. And thank you all for the lovely comments. I love it, and I love you too, and I love everyone back. Just wanted to say that. I'm still reading. Let's see. Gosh, these comments are jumping. So I'm sorry if it seems like I'm overlooking your comment. They jump. They go from one place to the next, and then I lose my place, and I don't know them. Okay. Is there a book to identify spirits and rid them? The ones I see are different colors and follow me. They won't let me rest. I'd ask you what colors they are. And what do you mean by they won't let you rest? Is this unwarranted interaction? I mean, there's a lot of questions that I have to be able to properly guide you with that. One thing I can probably suggest is that if you are sensitive or prone to spiritual interaction, like I myself can be, if I need to be mindful of my spiritual barriers, genuinely, a lot of it is about setting the intention mentally of imagine yourself. This is how it was explained to me, and I started using something similar to this as an exercise. Imagine yourself in a room or in a dome or in a bubble. You imagine yourself kind of barriered away, and you imagine these spiritual beings on the other side of the barrier. Now, you can imagine that it be a large barrier or a close barrier, depending on how closely you want the interaction or how far apart you want the interaction. But you need to start setting spiritual intention that if it's unwanted interaction, you just say, hey, I don't want to be bothered. Sometimes it's just as simple as hanging up a sign in your head that basically says, hey, not available right now, closed, like a little store shop sign almost, in a sense. So imagine yourself behind this domicile. Whether it's open or closed sometimes can determine whether or not you're able to interact with certain things. Other than that, I would probably say start carrying around black tourmaline, black obsidian, or snakeskin agate. Snakeskin agate, it kind of like promotes the idea of invisibility, quote unquote, but paired with a more protective and darker black stone, it's almost kind of like a shielding if you don't want to be involved with certain things like that. So I would suggest, if that's the case, to start wearing some snakeskin, wearing or carrying around close to your body and on your skin. Black tourmaline, black obsidian, or with those two, and snakeskin, snakeskin agate. And I'm only gonna talk for a little bit more. I've been on here a lot longer than I like, but I guess I wanted to run my mouth this morning. Okay, how to keep your energy high when living with depressed energies. Kind of goes back to the same thing. It's a protective and a shielding technique and method that you spend time trying to figure out and develop yourself and how it best works for you. When you're around other people, yes, their energy definitely can get to you, or whatever the case may be. I in this case, usually I ask to be protected and covered by a nice pink light, simply because I found that it allows you to be able to still feel and have compassion for the person wherever they're at without being insensitive or cold. But it also keeps you, there's a separation. You have to put a separation between your energy and other people's energy. Try to do what you can to uplift people, but it also helps that if you're so involved in your own energy, in your own existence, in your own practice of keeping up your mood, figuring out small things that lift your spirits, to do those small things daily, to focus on small beautiful characteristics of life, to focus in on the things that we possibly ignore, but just spend more time appreciating beauty and whatever else makes you happy. And then hopefully that energy starts to become the dominant energy in your household. Also for this, I'd recommend that you gift your friend some citrine and some amethyst. These are definitely two stones that I love so much and I work with a lot when it comes to anxiety and depression and lower vibratory spirits and energy. They're both very highly protective stones, spiritually highly protective stones. They're very both good for antidepression and anxiety. What I love the most about citrine is it's a very vibrant stone. It's considered like a happy stone. So it definitely raises your energy. It raises your mood while protecting your spiritual interaction with other people. And it's very good for your environment, your personal environment. So probably need some citrine up in that house on that person and on you. And people go through things and it's hard sometimes when we have to go through those things with that person, but make yourself an ally, but also set that boundary and show and lead by action in your own happiness, and that shit will be contagious. You have to figure out the small things that keep you going. And I can't figure that out for you, but, I specifically, what I do to keep my mood up, I guess, I'm really silly. I deal with emotion with silly spontaneity. I will dance in public. I will dance around the house. I'll say really absurd things. I'll toy with people. It's, whatever it is that kind of like keeps you going, you do that. Also, I take a lot of time to meditate and reflect on my highs and lows, because a lot of times we get into this, oh, woe is me place. And how many times have we been in an oh, woe is me place? A lot of times we can reflect and think back on several times that we thought our life was over. I'm pretty sure all of us could take some time right now and be like, remember that time when I thought my life really sucked and I thought it was over and I was going to jump off a bridge? Like, I really thought that shit sucked and then I got past it. then you realize that that wasn't really rock bottom, that you got past it, you're capable of getting past things, that there are things so much better. And then I really just try to focus more on the things that I have, how blessed I am for simple interactions. Like, I woke up this morning really early and I was happy about it. The small interactions that made me happy this morning was the gentleman that talked to me about how frosty it was this morning, and he was kind, and I got blueberry coffee, and that shit made me really happy. And we talked about how I like blueberry coffee, and that was great. And I held the door open for this lady and made direct eye contact, and I smiled at her because I wanted her to have a good day, and I told her that shit, and it was great. That's all I needed. And sometimes I think we expect happiness to be this grand big surprise in a box with confetti that pops out when we open it, and sometimes it's really damn simple. It was really damn simple for me this morning. So boom. Okay, I'm not gonna talk anymore. I've been talking so much, and I put cabbage on the stove this morning. I love cabbage, and it has Swiss chard in there, and it has onions and other stuff I forgot, and peppers and spicy things. So I'm gonna go tend to that because it's probably amazingly sauteed by now. And I had a really great time. Talking to you guys. Man, that was great. I know I seem real dry about it, but it was great. And I enjoyed it, and I loved it. I'd sit here, honestly, and run my mouth all day. But that wouldn't be very productive for me, because I have to pay my rent next week, so I have to go back to work. I will be flipping and whipping these crystals all day, slinging those rocks all day. That's what I'll be doing. So, I'm going to go now. Man, I don't know how to say goodbye. Really don't. I'm bad at breaking up with people too. You can probably tell. I don't know how to say. So I'm just going to sever the ties now. I'm just going to walk away. That's what I'm really good at. I'm just going to walk away. I'm just going to push the button. It's so easy. Just push the button. There we go.